Trump, put on the SCOTUS for us. Yeah, I'm sorry. See, I told you, I'm totally flabbergasted by this. Totally. So, people that Donald Trump put on there, you would think this shouldn't be an issue, right? Yeah, nice try. Yeah, like I said, I thought so too, but I've been proven wrong. So 855 real Joe 855-732-5563. Get involved, get engaged, be part of the solution. I know doesn't sound like it, but I do. I do have stories that we can go through, stories that we can talk about. The oh come on, Missini, you knew that coming in here. The hello. There you go. Okay, now we're back at it again. My God, it went okay. Frustrated him enough. Here we go. Start working. Mitch McConnell, our favorite person, right? Mitch McConnell. He was found unconscious in his D.C. home last month before being rushed to the hospital. Maybe a heart attack. Maybe it was. They're not telling us. The the they don't want you to know because they don't want him to possibly be replaced. Now, McConnell was found unconscious, Senator, and that was reported in the D.C. home last month. The 84-year-old Kentucky 84-year-old, did I say 84? The 84-year-old Kentucky senator was rushed to the hospital a couple of weeks ago and was receiving excellent care. That's according to the spokesman. It's still unclear why McConnell was admitted to the hospital to begin with. However, he may have had a heart attack. That's according to newly released audio in a 911 call. So let me see, what is this? The emergency dispatch recorder was obtained from Washington, D.C. Fire and EMS Dispatch and captures the call on June 14th at 8:36 a.m. They requested an advanced life support response after Senator Mitch McConnell was reported unconscious, and that was according to the dispatch. So, you know what? Let's see what's going on. So last week, McConnell's office said the Kentucky senator will not be voting, and he hasn't voted in 2 weeks. And maybe that's helped us out. I don't know. Right? I mean, you know what's killing him is the hate he has for Trump, and I don't care who it is. You should not. You should have hated Obama. You shouldn't hate Trump. You shouldn't hate Joey B. It does nothing but make you sick. All right. Now McConnell's suffering from a myriad of health problems, but last October he took a nasty fall in the Russell basement. McConnell had also suffered from freezing episodes too, looking around the room like not knowing where he is, what he's got going on, or even what he wants to say, which is time to go. Right? Really that simple. Just time to go. So in another story proving how what's the word I want to use here? How dangerous the right wing people are. I think this is hilarious, frankly, because it shows you more and more, and the ignorant left can't even pick up on this. So last week, 2 Texas judges sentenced a group of terrorists to 30 to 50 or even 100 years in some cases in federal prison over their attack on Texas ICE facility. Now, it resulted in the shooting of a law enforcement officer. The media desperately tried to reframe the attack as a protest gone bad. Oh, yes, of course. Right? Yeah, they never stop. But it didn't work. And the story kind of fell away quietly. Of course it did, right? They got handed their sentences. The left doesn't want you to know that they have sentences. So after the North Antifa terrorists received historic prison sentences, their comrades, and we do mean comrades, are now threatening to kill the federal judges. Think about that. You realize it's true. There's no way out of this. The Democrats did this. Joe Biden, Obama, Pelosi. I mean, look at when they were riding in the streets, knocking over statues. She locked it. She goes, "Oh, they're statues. It's no big deal." No, because it's not your money. If you had to pay for them all, it'd be a little different. Anyway, so Antifa threatened to kill Texas judges after those extremists got nailed with 50, 60 to 100 years. The threats followed last week's first batch of sentencing. The threats are being directed at a U.S. District Judge, Mark Pittman. So I hope they go after these guys with everything blazing. No mercy. Be back in a few minutes. We're back at it again. Joe Messina, your host. Always a pleasure to have you with me. 855 Real Joe. 855-732-5563. Get involved, get engaged, right? Be part of the solution. Make sure you got your what do I say? You got, come on, you know it. Make sure you got your ducks in a row. Make sure you know what's going on. And when you put this, when you're spewing this stuff out there, you're spewing it out knowing, not thinking, not maybe, not kind of, sort of, knowing what you're doing. Okay. It's really, again, it's really that simple. What I want to do here, again, I'm catching up on stories, so bear with me. We talked about Mitch McConnell. We talked about the Antifa nuts. I love this one too, and they make the case for you, right? Because they don't know they don't know what they're talking about, but people love them, so they got elected. You shouldn't elect somebody. Look, I got a lot of friends that I trust. I would trust them with my kids, but you know what? I don't want them in a government position. Seriously. So Tuesday's birthright citizenship ruling by the Supreme Court, it really has shaken a lot of people up because they totally expected to go in a different direction. So the ruling by the Supreme Court has provided Americans with the answers that to an ever pertinent question, however you want to say it. God bless. Right? Who is an American citizen? What makes you an American citizen? Because you were born on the dirt? Debate likely won't cease as the highest court in the land. They issued a 6-3 ruling on the president, Donald Trump's executive order. He issued that on his first day in office back in January of 2025. He said the 14th Amendment to the United States Constitution only grants birthright citizenship to persons who have at least one parent that is a permanent resident or citizen. The court struck down this earlier, effectively saying that anyone born here under any circumstance whatsoever is a citizen. I do not believe that that's what our founding fathers had in mind. Think about this. A Chinese national could come here on vacation knowing they're close. One that's loyal to China. They can come here, have their baby, American citizen, go back home, get their education, get their loyalty, get indoctrinated into the Chinese lifestyle, the motherland. And they come out here at 18, 19, 20 years old, all ready and set to go and fight for their country, which happens to be the other one. They don't have to take any oath of office or anything because they're an American citizen. Now, in all transparency, that's how my grandmother did it. Not on purpose. They didn't come here to give birth, but they came here. They ended up getting stuck here a little longer than they wanted. My grandmother's parents, my great grandmother, my great grandmother and great grandfather, they were here visiting family in New York City. Right? And so my grandmother was born here. So she had dual citizenship. So when the Americans went into Italy, when they went in to free the Italians, she was one of the first to go, could get out. So yeah, did I take advantage of it? No, my grandmother did. But those were valid reasons at the time. They didn't come here so she could get the right to do that. So later on, she could collect welfare. Matter of fact, they didn't want anything to do with government handouts, government help. Nothing. So we'll see how that pans out, plays out, whatever. But when you look at the court struck down the order, effectively saying anyone born here under any circumstance. Now that leads us to the Illinois Democrat, Delia Ramirez. Real peach. Her birth, the circumstances of her birth are an example as to how this ruling is going to turn out when looking at the next generation of public officials, right? In an article on Ramirez from January 2023, CNN noted that her mother crossed the Rio Grande River when she was pregnant with Ramirez, who would be born here into a family of Guatemalan immigrants. And on June 2nd, 1983, she hit the lottery, obviously, in Chicago, Illinois. In other words, her mother was an illegal alien and had a baby here that became a citizen anyway. Now, serving in Congress, you would imagine Ramirez would take every opportunity to express her gratitude, her patriotism and putting America first. But no, we've raised a bunch of ingrateful, uncaring, unloving people. In August of 2025, Gateway Pundit reported that Ramirez had attended a Pan American Congress in Mexico City, where she told the audience in Spanish that she's a Guatemalan before she's an American. Yeah, that doesn't sit well with anybody. That's disgusting. A month later, Ramirez took to the death of a 21-year-old black student at Delta State University. Right, that was in Cleveland, Mississippi, to lecture her followers on the United States history and race. Yeah, just wrong, totally wrong. She was followed hanging from a Rita was found hanging from a tree in the South. So Ramirez decided this must be a lynching and a great reason to insult the community that gave her the opportunity. This country gave her the opportunity to become a congresswoman. This country gave her the freedoms to go to school here. It's amazing. And this is what I say about your kids when you raise them. The more you give them for free, the more you decide they don't have to work for it, the more entitled they become. I didn't have to work for it. Mommy just gave it to me. I didn't have to work for it. Daddy just gave it to me. Because they loved me and they wanted me to have everything. Anyway, when you have these people out there doing this, it's time to really give a second thought to what does freedom of speech really mean? What really did our founding fathers have in mind? You realize that whole thing was around not being shot for I don't know, putting down the king. Any of that stuff. Ramirez also waited on Israel's conflict with Hamas in Palestine, eagerly taking the chance to chastise the former, calling on her colleagues that, look, you got to support and support her Block the Bombs Act. It restricts certain weapons sold to Israel or sales to Israel. Hamas would love that. They don't even want them to have the Iron Dome anymore. Why? We've been repeatedly told to ignore what we've seen with our own eyes. Palestinian children under rubble, shot, bombed, starved, sick, abused. Anybody home? Listen, abused. Did you hear me? Abused. The UN echoed what we've been saying all along. Israel is committing a genocide, right? Against the Palestinians. It's paid by American taxpayers' money. We must put an end to the genocide. I don't see how that works. Right? You mean the Palestinians? You mean the people that are running around killing the Christians, wanting a genocide on the Israelis? It has been so screwed up. Think about it. Think about the United Nations. All right. We'll be back in a minute. Don't go far. A lot more coming up after the break. Ouch. We are back at it again. Joe Messina, your host. I know some of you are already making fun of me. Doing the best I can. Always a pleasure to have you with me. 855 Show. 855-732-5562. Get involved, get engaged, be part of the solution. And I do very much appreciate the time you're spending with me here. Um, as I said on the air, in the chat room, texting, tweeting, and just keeping up is enough. And you know that. I know that. You know that. We know that. All right. So there are, like I said, there are a lot of good stories out there. We just need to get to. I just need to start plowing through them. And I use a lot. There's several sites that I use to get my stories from. And man, I'll tell you what, some of them are really letting me down. They're not. I'm not going to tell you who they are. No, they're not stepping out truly and telling the kind of stories and the information we need to be able to step out and make things happen. All right, really, really that easy, really that simple. Okay, 855 Real Joe, 855-732-5563. There they are. God, I hate this thing. So, all right. We talked about Mitch McConnell. Oh yeah. Don't want to talk about him anymore. He's old, he's now old news. What are these people doing when they can't walk around? There's got to be something, some kind of law we could put in place that they have to take a cognitive test and they have to score so much on it and that kind of thing, right? Mindani is out there telling New Yorkers to set thermostats at 78 degrees to alleviate stress on the grid. I want you to understand something. New York is going through a heat wave, an unprecedented heat wave, right? But hey, I wonder if you walked into his house unannounced, what his temperature gauge would be set at. Just curious. He tells New Yorkers to set their thermostats to 78, and there's too much pressure on the grid already. So far left mayor on Wednesday, he urged those New Yorkers to set them down. Temperatures are soaring into the triple digits in the Midwest and East Coast. Right? Mindami encourages New Yorkers to raise their thermostats amid this life-threatening heat. I'm asking every New Yorker to make a heat plan before the worst of this weather comes. Well, I don't know. You've been there for a while. What's your plan to fix it? It's easy to complain about it. What's your plan to fix it? The best protection against extreme heat is air conditioning. If you don't have it, you got to know how and where to go and stay cool. Check in on your neighbors, especially seniors. If you see someone's outside who appears to be in distress, call for them. It's 311. So you can get help to them as soon as possible. We live in the strongest city. Let's do the best things. Yeah, you're helping it move along properly, huh? Wow. Anyway, send me an email, joe@joemessina.com, joe@joemessina.com. Hey, you want to ask questions, you're worried you won't call in? Send me, I'll answer you. I mean, I don't want to, but I'll answer you. All right. And maybe you don't want me to. I don't know. Not my headache, yours, right? The Newark Police Department, New York, not Newark, New York Police Department on Wednesday, they released police body cam footage of their arrest of a masked couple who climbed the Empire State Building. Wow. That middle spire at the top? They unfurled a banner. The banner read, when the power of the love beats the love of power, the world knows peace. I'll go with that. A Russian daredevil couple scaled the Empire State Building as a marriage proposal stunt. The masked couple reportedly assessed the spire by sneaking through a tiny hatch on 102nd floor. Wow. That's big. And I don't know how much weight that thing will take. They must have did some work, to understand and know. The couple was identified as Ivan Kuznetskov, 32, and Angelina Nicolau, 33. Kuznetsov got down on one knee and proposed to her, and now the two are spending the first hours of their engagement in jail. They've each been charged with burglary, reckless endangerment, criminal mischief, and violation of local law, possession of burglary tools, and criminal tampering, criminal trespass, and disorderly conduct. Wow, they get more than the illegals got. Boom, boom. Thank you very much. The two have a history of conducting similar stunts, climbing tall buildings. They don't use ropes. They don't use safety equipment. They don't use anything. The two have a history of conducting similar stunts. Think about that. Yeah. Anyway, well, I'm sure they'll be part of any circus group you can think of. And police rushed in when they got up there and take them into custody. They have video cam. I'm not going to show it. Going to move on because many of you already heard the story, seen it. You know what's gone on. You know what's taking place. So, the God, Mindani, you got to love him. He decided, by the way, in another story, to extending hours of the Olympic and intermediate-sized outdoor pools until 8:30 at night. Now, opening 8 additional city buildings as cooling centers from noon through midnight. The opening 10 additional public library branches as cooling centers. Oh, yeah, somebody's got to pay for this too, you know. Expanding outreach by adding 150 volunteers, bringing the city's total street outreach workforce to more than 600 people. Asking all businesses to set thermostats to 78 degrees and encourage all New Yorkers to conserve energy during the peak demand. There you go. So, again, he's going to open up all these centers, have air conditioning on, pulling on the grill, right? The grid system. I don't know. I think they're missing some things. What do you think? So, anyhow, and that's what you got. You guys hired this guy. I don't know what else to say to you. You hired this man, right? And then you wonder why you don't get the service. Which ones have ever given you the services they really told you they're going to give you? You have to ask. Ilhan Omar, she danced on stage and she spoke at a Somali Independence Day takeover of Minneapolis. They put the flag up. I think it's on either the State House or one of the state buildings. What is that all about? It's a U.S. celebration of the U.S.'s birth, not Somalis. Right? Just amazing. All right. What else do we got here? Oh, no, I can't do it. I cannot do it. I do not want to show her dancing. It doesn't look good. It wouldn't look good no matter who it was. Yeah, especially her, but wouldn't matter who it was. WNBA's Alyssa Thomas, she complains about her one-game suspension and being called a thug after driving her fist into Caitlin Clark's throat. What did you want to be called? A sweetie? Listen up, little sweetie? No. You hit somebody, you try to strangle them, that's what you end up with. Right? Now, let me see. What did she say? The Phoenix Mercury's Alyssa Thomas. She's the same player caught on multiple camera angles driving her fist forearm directly into Caitlin Clark's throat. Now, she was on the ground, right? How amazing. They thought that was fine. Thomas suspended for just one game after the league finally reviewed the dangerous and reckless play, which also included a knee to Clark's groin. Right? She told reported that she's sick and tired of the narrative and being painted as a thug. Well, then don't be a thug. She went on to say, I'm crazy, the playing the game being suspended, just a whole narrative that's being pointed out there is unfortunate. Well, it's unfortunate that you had to go after her, start punching on her. You don't think that was unfortunate at all? 855 Real Joe. Anyway, she went on to say a lot of us, myself included, didn't even know the play took place until after. and a game, and we're being pointed as thugs or painted as thugs. There's death threats out there, so really unacceptable. But you guys have been picking on her, beating on her, shoving her, pushing her. Why? She white? I mean, I don't follow their game, so why is she at the brunt of your aggravation? If I was wrong, I was wrong. She said nowadays too many people will do some dirty stuff. Then the moment they're caught or called out, they start rewriting history. Don't do it. Joe Messina, your host. Don't go far. A lot more coming up after the break. You have to pardon me. I don't know the buttons. Whatever. Joe Messina, your host. Always a pleasure to have you with me. 855 Real Joe, 855-732. 55. Just amazing. Amazing what's going on there. It's amazing what the Dems are just loving and enjoying. It's amazing. I don't know how they sleep with themselves at night. You know? Okay. The I can't believe this person is trying this. Prominent attorney form team amid and trying to overturn Carmelo Anthony's murder conviction. Now, it doesn't appear these convictions mean anything to these people. Now, it won't go off quietly. He won't just go serve his term. These people are going to fight to get him out and keep him out. According to multiple reports, Anthony, who was convicted of murdering 17-year-old Austin Metcalf in 2025, has already appealed his conviction. And the state appeared to be aligning to ensure that Anthony's conviction is overturned. Nice of them. Our appellate team has been retaining following the conviction I'm sorry, my tongue and my lips aren't working here, has been retained following the conviction to conduct a fresh independent review of the trial record. Now, the group said, put this out via statement, we recognize the profound loss suffered by one young man's family and the uncertainty facing another. We extend our respect to everyone whose lives have been forever changed by those events. Now, our responsibility is to determine whether a legal error occurred and to ensure that every issue supported by the record is fully and vigorously presented to or at the appeal. So, again, isn't it funny how much they'll put behind these people who are guilty? They've been found guilty. There's witnesses there, and yet they want to throw Kavanaugh and Trump in jail, right, for somehow sexually assaulting women who couldn't have possibly been where they said they were. Or maybe I should say that. Trump's accuser could have been where she said she was, but not at the time she said she was, and not wearing what she said she was wearing. So that's done. Just amazing to me. And Kavanaugh, yeah, I guess the girl was at a party, or the woman was at a party that was supposed to be for older women, and she was there 14, 15 years old. Somehow she got in. Nobody remembers Kavanaugh being there but her. Just amazing. So Bledsoe with the law firm and the president of the Texas NAACP, Michael Ware, with the law office, Michael Ware. Anyway, they got 20 names here of the law firm. I don't care. I care it's a law firm. How's that? For those who keep up with these sorts of affairs, the Ben Crump law name may seem familiar, and that's because Crump's office were famously involved in several racially charged cases involving Michael Brown, Trayvon Martin, George Floyd. Yeah, oh yeah, they got, what is it when you see a guy keeps dating the same kind of women, they have a type. Now, Crump's offices, along with several others, have joined forces to try and overturn Anthony's verdict. According to the Defender publication, this powerhouse litigation team is working on Anthony's behalf pro bono. And it just, again, more curiously though, it appears that this new legal alliance already had a specific strategy in place, already was ready to go. Isn't that great? In short, the legal team is challenging the verdict based on the fact that there were no black jurors. So I guess now a jury of your peers aren't just a jury of humans. They have to be certain kind of humans, look at a certain way. Maybe he wants someone with the same hairstyle. I don't know. Now, Anthony was convicted of murdering Metcalf during a 2025 track meet in Frisco, where some sort of an interaction led to Anthony's fatally stabbing Metcalf. We know what the interaction was. They have a whole bunch of witnesses there. He was convicted for murdering Metcalf. Now, while Anthony's original defense tried to paint this act as one born out of self-defense, the jury didn't buy it and ultimately convinced him in June of 2026. So we'll see what happens. He He was sentenced to 35 years in prison. Okay, we'll see what comes out from there. Okay, you couldn't keep up with these things because you'd be looking at these stories and go, wait a minute, that can't be true. Oh, wait a minute, that can't be true. Right? All right. Oh, here's one. We do with Mrs. Oblamo. Haven't called her there. Haven't called her that in a long time. Michelle Obama might be long out of the White House. Well, none of the Obamas seem to be able to keep their mouths shut. You know, it doesn't mean that she's left politics behind. The former first lady is living a second career in entertainment world as head with her husband of a production company called Higher Ground. Yeah, sure, whatever. But there doesn't seem to be much higher road, and she's treating the wife of the president, Donald Trump, really bad. According to the UK Daily Mail, a British publication with a large U.S. president, Michelle Obama used her power to ban Cheryl Hines, the wife of Health and Human Services Secretary Robert Kennedy Jr., from getting anywhere near a project that Higher Ground is producing. Isn't that how sweet of her? Right? Higher Ground is producing with legendary TV comedy figure and stereotypical leftist Larry David, and Hines having a working relationship with David that goes back decades, didn't change a thing. He couldn't do anything to help her out. Probably didn't want to. I don't know. Larry David Higher Ground project is life. Larry and the Pursuit of Unhappiness, an almost history of America. An almost history. Notice he said almost history. Right? I don't know. Again, used to be you could speak your mind. That's why people came here, because they couldn't be killed or shot for speaking against the government. And I don't know if you notice that the Dems, they want to punish you for speaking out against the government. They want to punish you for questioning an election. And it's funny how they say, by questioning an election, you create all that violence on January 6th. And look what we're finding out. How January 6th was a lie. Right? You're finding that out. You're seeing the videos. When the police are moving out of the way, when they're moving barriers out of the way for these people to come in. And don't give me that stuff, well, they were told to stand down because they don't want a whole bunch of damage done. Because it was our people that were screaming, don't damage the place. When you see the videos that are taken, behind the videos being taken, you really see who set this thing in motion. So you really got to scrutinize everything. And you got to punish those that are lying on a regular basis and getting away with it. Trump took his first flight on the new Air Force One today. Nobody's ever seen anything like it, they said. Kamala Harris privately is consulting with Zoran Mandani, too. I thought that was amazing. You know, people are saying that she's maneuvering for a 2028 run. If they keep stealing things like they're doing it, I can only imagine what that 2020 election is going to be like. In all seriousness. 855 Real Joe, 855-732-5563. Get involved, get engaged, be part of the solution. You know, and get informed first. Please get informed first. I don't want you spewing stuff that you have no idea about. Anyway. Yeah. Do you guys think, for those of you even in the chat room, do you think that we're divided, or we're just two countries now? Maybe even three. I don't know, but at least two. Right? They're just, like somebody in the chat room said, they're all in love. It's really, no, I'm not reading that. Oh, God. Yeah, they're like all from one party, certain kind of party. I ain't talking about political. Nothing stops them. Nothing's bad to them. Nothing is out of sorts with them. And I don't get it. Anyway, I like the fact that the Antifa, if you're just joining us, I was talking a little bit about this earlier. The Antifa now threatening judges who sentenced terrorists who attacked Texas ICE facility. So all those people that were sentenced, now you've got Antifa threatening the judges who sentenced them. So why isn't the DOJ there working this out? Why isn't the DOJ there, really letting them have it? I'll put it that way. Anybody home? And these people are sick. Some of these people got 100 years in prison. As well they should. Hopefully the judge, although I would love it if he did, but I hope he doesn't dole out the same kind of punishments because of what they did in the January 6th people. Let's not be them. Joe Messina, your host. Don't go far.